Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this video. In this video we're going to explain HTML tags, the head tag, the body tag, elements like a H1, a P tag, the span, ordered list and an unordered list. We're going to link your CSS file and write some CSS. First of all, when you open a written HTML file, it's going to start with this doctype HTML. This lets the browser know that we're writing HTML. It's very simple. You open it with a less than tag, you get an exclamation mark, I think it's called. You type doctype, and then you just type HTML in small letters, and the less for greater than tag to close it off. That's everything. In HTML5, you open and close elements, like any element with a less and greater than tag, I think it's called, symbol. So what you want to do, we want to open our HTML document. We do this by HTML. So now we've opened it, but we also need to close it, otherwise we need to close it. So what we type is HTML, the same as before, like just copy and paste this. Just copy it, paste this, but then get a backslash after the less than mark symbol, something like that. So we've opened it and we've closed it here. What you want to do now is indent like one tab or space, like 3 space, 1 tab. And what you want to do is type your next element. It's going to be a head element. We open it with head and we close it again like this. It's very simple. We're going to discuss 3 meta tags. The first one is a char set. So you type meta. And this one is a little different because you open it, but you don't close it like this. It's a little bit different. So you open it like this, and then you put your contents in here, and then you close it with a backslash and a greater than tag. What you want to type is char set and then UTF-8. This lets your browser know we're encoding with UTF-8, so it's very handy for your browser to know. So just like all HTML pages, you need to get this in. The second one is the meta, and its name is author. Content is Finiox, that's my name. And we close it. So like this, it's very simple. You have name, and that means the name of your meta. What's the name? It's author. What's the content? It's Finiox. So we can do it again and say meta, name is content. No, that's not true. Name is description. And content is, this is a HTML5 and CSS3 tutorial. And we close it off like that. These 2 tags are mainly for your search engines, because they can see, oh, we're looking for the meta tag with the name author, and we get the content on our Google page, or our Bing page, or a Yahoo page. It's for the search engines. Next up, after your head tag, we have the head element. And this one is a little bit different than your head, because your head is only for communication with your browser. So you put something in like the char set and important things that your browser needs to know. So this won't be displayed on the page. I refresh it for now. You see, it has made the head element, and it put our things in it. Well, it didn't do anything with it because we can't see it. It's not there. It's only there for your client, for your browser, just to know what's in there. Your body is a little bit different. This is everything on the page that you'll see. And everything you do, everything that needs to be displayed is in your body tag. You can't go here and type H1. Of course you can. This will work on modern browsers. But this is not recommended because it can get some lack of support. Like you can see, even like what Chrome or Opera does. I've placed it in the code here, but Opera did place it in a body tag. So you always need to place it in a body tag. Next up, we're going to discuss some elements. First of all, we got the H element, like H. Let's close it off with nothing in there now. So this is not the complete element. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. A H1 is mainly for titles. So a H1 is a big title, and we'll give this welcome. Then we can do some subtitles with H2 or H3. You just need to know the number is like for the sizes. 1 is the biggest, 6 is the smallest. So we'll say about us, and that looked like this. So you get your H1 if we look at our inspector, H1 right here. You get your H3 as a subtitle, and we could do a subtitle. I don't know what it's called. It's H6. This is very small. It's smaller than your text even. Read below, and you can see this is very small, but your head titles always have a font weight of bold, so it's always bold. If otherwise, if you say so differently, it won't be bold. So yeah, right now it's just bold. Remove the read below thing, and we're gonna go right to the P tag. And the P tag is like a paragraph. That's what it stands for. And all your large text, so your text about anything, will be in a P tag. So we get a lorem ipsum. It's just something for developers, so you can get fast text on your page. So like you can see, we have our H1 tag up there. You have our H3 tag underneath it, and then you have the P tag with your text in it right here. So if you hover over it in my inspector, you can see the size of the element, the margin, and the padding. So let's first explain what it is. So the H1 element has a display of block, just like your H3 and your P tag. We're going to get a span tag, and that's an element. Sorry, I keep saying tag, it's element. We're gonna get a span element, and this has a display of inline. So like you can see here, you get the text, you get the span, and I can select it even, you will see what it is. And then you get this won't do anything right now. You can just select it, nothing happens. Later when we go onto the CSS, you will see what I mean. So we have a P tag. This is display block. And then we have the span element, and this has a display of inline. Block is just a full width of the page, so it will always render on a new line. A span element doesn't. It just renders where it is, like where it's supposed to go. It just renders before or after elements, or inside of them. So a P tag will get the full width of a page. A H3, the block will have the full width, like a H1, a H3, a P, many other elements, and the span will have a display of inline. So let's go back to our head tag and link some CSS. So let's do it like this. CSS is the style of a web page. So all the colors, all the font sizes, all the dimensions are defined in CSS. And you create a CSS file by just giving it a name, and then the extension is .css, like I did here. Main.css is the name of this file. I already made it. And you need to link it with your HTML. And you can do it with link. So that's the tag. It's called link. And you type in the href, and the href is like the reference to the element. So mine is in the map CSS, and the file is main.css. Type is style sheet. You don't need to know what this means. Just no, this is not true. Type is text CSS. Rel is style sheet. And you can just copy paste this. You can just copy paste this and add it to your own page. You can Google link HTML link tag, and you will get some links to other site where they explain this. So all you need to know right now is that we're referencing to CSS/main.css. That's the path of my file from the index.html file. And we can style some things now. So we'll play with some positioning with the display, and we're gonna give the H1 and the H3, so H1, H3, a display of inline. And like you can see, this put them right to each other. So you can see H1 and H3. So you can see it there, just aligned right beside each other. If I give only one of them inline, it won't work, because this one has the inline, so it wants to go beside each other. all the elements, but the H3 wants to go on a different page. It's very, it wants to go in its own line, so that won't work. So let's give the H3 and the P element a display of inline, like they will render right beside each other right now, like you can see. Let's see. Then we have our span element, like I showed you, and we can target this with span. Then you open and you close it with these columns. I think they're called semicolons or something. I don't know the name. And then you have your property, like color. You get to I don't know what's called, like this symbol. And then you type your value. So we want color to be red. You can close it with a like this. I don't know the name. Sorry. So color is red. Like you can see this one red right now. We can get it blue or yellow or green. Let's get green. Everything you want. You can also do with a hex value like F00. This will make it red. You can get any hex value, and you can also get some RGBA or RGB. Sorry. So RGB is just the RGB, like just the RGB value. This will make it red. If I get the 255 in the middle, that will make it green. So let's make it red for now. So 25500. What we can do with the span, besides of the color, we can give it a display of block. And what this will do is this will render the span element on a new line, like you can see. So this one has the full width, and this one has the, yeah, it wants a new line. That's that. One thing we're gonna do in the series, let's put my cursor. We're going to write our code according to the display of an element. So if it's a block element, so it wants to go on a new line, we give it a new line in our code. So we say, like, yeah, we just make our tag, like, let's make a new one, H1, and H1. We're going to get line right in it, and we're going to say welcome. So this is a display element in our code. If you give it an inline element, we're going to place it inline. So we're going to place it as a span, the content right in it without any enters or something, and another span. If we do decide to make this display block, I'm also going to make this display, also going to make this block in my text editor. So let's something like this. I got a new one here. So this won't change anything. So that's what we're gonna do. It's very important. It's just for your own management to see your code better. So we've discovered the basic elements. We're gonna discover one more thing, and that is discover. I mean cover, not discover. It's an unordered list or an ordered list. So this is. It's just a list, and I will show you. You will create it with an UL element, and then you get LE elements in it. So remember, these are block, like I will show you. So this is let's call it H4. Say groceries. Bam, and we say we want a banana, and we want some bread, and we want some water. So this will give us an unordered list, so it's not ordered, with our groceries. And like you can see, it's a block element. So are these LEs, they're also a block element. And an OL is just the same thing. It's exactly the same. Only thing that will change are the style, the list style types. And we can change these in CSS. So let's get UL. So you see it's the numbers now. And we can also target our UL and say list style type will be a disk. Oh, it already was a disk, wasn't it? Square. So we'll change to a square. Maybe can you say number here? I don't know. So we'll make it a square, and then we say, or disk. You just need to know. You can also do this for independent. Just don't look at this if you don't understand this, okay? I think you can do this for every style type. Is the property, the value will be square. So only the first child, so the first element will be square, yeah, like this. You can also do images, but you need to give, that will be another video. So the first one is a square, the other ones are discs. We can also say all the odd ones, so like the first, the third. If I just copy paste this real fast, you'll see. And you can do a lot of things with CSS. Just don't remember this. Only remember this thing. List style type. You can change it with this to a square to a triangle. I don't know. No, I don't think it's defined. But you can change it to whatever you want. And like you can see, these LEs are block elements. So what I want to do, I just want to get them a non-list style type, and I want to change them to LE. I'm targeting the UL, and inside of the UL I want the LE. So I can do this with like a greater than tag, or I can just do it with a space. The difference I will explain later. So it's gone now, and I want to say display inline, and this will render them side by side. This is great for a menu or something like that. You can do lots of things with ULs. They're used for menus or drop downs, like a lot of things. So next up we're going to discuss the difference between a display inline. Let's put this in comments. Display inline. Let's go a little bit down. Display block, and then you have lots of displays. We're going to inline block. That's another one. Before we can explain the difference, you need to know what a margin or a padding is. So let's give these bad boys their default value. A margin or a padding is just simple the space between or in an element. So like you see with the H1, this is block, and what it does is it has a default margin, like you can see here. That's the default margin of 21.4 pixels. That's just the margin of this element. You have a border, but we didn't set a border, and you have the padding. So we're going to focus on the margin and the padding. If I now say, let's keep this red. If I now say H1, margin 0, just give it 0. You will see that the margin is gone. We can also give it 10 pixels. Like it's at the sides now, we're just going to get it to 0. We will give it the padding of 20 pixels. And what's the difference between this is that it's now inside of the element. So the full element is like this is the full element, and this is the padding, it's inside of it. Margin is outside of the element. So yeah. So the difference between an display inline is that you can't set a margin to the top or to the bottom. So I can say margin top 300 pixels, but it won't work. It's set here, like you can see. It will only work at a left or right angle. So you can see it's set now. Bottom won't work as well. You can only give them a padding of 300 pixels. Let's say padding top. And this won't work as well. Left will. A block element you can give all the sides, but it's always rendered. What happened? Oh, padding left. So a block element will always be able to get the padding on the top, the bottom, and everything where you want it. But it won't be able to render elements side by side. So I can give this width of 10 pixels, but it will still get its own, how do you explain it? It will still get its own line. So we have inline block, and what you can do is this, is inline block. You can give it a margin top or bottom, margin top, 200 pixels, everything you want with it. Give it a padding off top, it's just going to be really different. but will also render side by side. So if I also target the H3, you see the render side by side, and then you can go H1 with 20 pixels. You will see that they rendered side by side. So this is a little bit too small. Let's say margin top, 40 pixels. So like you can see, they will render side by side, whatever I do. And this means that the display inline is very useful for making lots of containers. Like for instance, you have these two containers side by side, and you want them to go above each other if the width is not big enough. So we'll we'll show this right now. So if it gets too small, I think it should go, yeah, it goes underneath each other, like you can see here. So the side by side now, but when it gets too small, so when the border of your page hits the element, it will go boom underneath it. So this is very good for mobile, like resize, like responsive, we call it in the design world. This is really good for the responsive design of your pages. So I will be using lots of display in my tutorials. So next video we're going to talk about advanced CSS selectors. So how to select your parent, how to select your child, how to style some things. So we've only shown how to change the color, how to change the type of your groceries, things like that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.